limitlessness. What does it mean? How do we embody it? We know we want more of it. Well, that's what we're jumping into in today's episode. How can you truly embody the frequency of limitlessness? My name is David Gilbert. Welcome to the Golden Life. I'm here to help you become the alchemist of your life and become the infinite, powerful being that you are. And we love to get to the reality, right? The universe is made of energy. Therefore, you are a being of frequency. So how do you start to take ownership of your frequency and what's possible if we were to aim at the highest heights? And that is what I love to look at and explore. And that's where we're going to jump into today. This is your invitation. Become the alchemist of your life. You decode your heaven on earth and go through the alchemical process. The alchemist is a master of himself so that he can master life. People thought alchemists were turning lead into gold, but they're really crystallizing their soul into form. Alchemize your golden potential. Welcome to the Golden Life. Now you're probably here. I love to attract people who feel limited in some capacity, who feel stuck, because becoming the alchemist is taking that stuckness, that lead, and turning it into gold, right? So how do we do this in the highest capacity? Well, we take this, I'm this person who grew up in these circumstances that had this really hard life because of this, and I'll never be able to change, and it's going to be like this forever. Instead of transforming into the being that says, I am a powerful co-creator. I take full ownership of my internal reality and my perspective in life. And I'm willing to discover the tools that help me expand and explore my capacity and potential. So I hope you can see the difference there. So I want to share a little bit of my own story and kind of the 3 levels of performance. And it starts off in my own story back in my early 20s. I was in the dark night of the soul, going through a lot of depression. I had a lot of repressed feelings I didn't deal with and pains I didn't deal with. And I had some health issues. During that time when I was in college, I really got into health. This was over 10 years ago. I actually got into like paleo and bulletproof and all that stuff back in the day when CrossFit just started getting big and Spartan races just launched. They actually used little puju sticks and actually hit people at the end a long time ago. And when it came from like getting that depressed state and then starting to get into the physical health, like I started feeling different and I started feeling a lot better. Now, if I were to say during that time, as I was going through college and getting ready to go into work, I was more of a performer, especially in college. And this is what I meant by performer is I just like showed up like, how do I get the job done? Like I have just enough energy to like pour into my schooling and creativity. Like, how do I just like really show up to that? Now, I say that too. I did want to do the best that I could at school. But there was like some projects I would put off or I waited last minute. I was like, I know I could have done better. Like, why didn't I do better? And this is where hindsight, realizing that I was completely unconscious. I like dark night of the soul, like the first steps into the alchemical journey. So I was completely unconscious to all the patterns that made up who I was. Now, because I started eating healthy and started following Mark Divine and getting into like a little bit of breath work and a little bit of meditation, like I started to feel a little bit of difference, and that gave me a little bit more capacity to show up more. But I still just always felt like I was always missing the mark of what I thought I was truly capable of. But you could see all these unconscious patterns like a storm swirling around and just kind of dictating things. And you're always wondering why, like, I have this feeling I could show up better, but I don't. So I'm just going to do what I can to show up and like complete what I need to do. And this is the mindset of a performer. And then later through life, like being committed to personal development, being committed to understanding business and how to grow a vision into reality and create my own version of my golden life. Well, as I went through this process, I can look at another milestone, which was when I went all in for opening my own brick and mortar store. which I signed the lease January 2020, as I've shared before, greatest time in human history to open a brick and mortar store. But during that time, I started putting all these things I've learned, from how to take care of the body to how to take care of the mindset, to going deep into mindset. That opened up how to explore emotional health and things like heart math, of how to start to rewire your parasympathetic on demand, and then also spirituality. And I was opening the meditation supply store. So it was like time to put all these things I learned and help people. And then I realized, I could start doing this one-on-one with people. And I identify as an entrepreneur. Like, I want to create the life of my own choosing and live a life of freedom. So how can I help some other people? Because I like to work with more driven people, because they get to create more results and you see more results. And during that time, I got certified with the High Performance Institute. And this is when I was really living into and helping other people embody the high performer mindset. And the high performer mindset asks, how can I be the best, right? If I show up as my best self, how can I do that? And gaining the tools along the way. And that's when you start to know your patterns. You're like, yeah, I know that I had this core wound and I've been working on that limiting belief. I don't feel like I'm fully out of it. It still kind of shows up and I don't know what to do. As well as maybe other areas in life. Like, I'm working towards that goal, or maybe a relationship, and I have this relationship, but I don't feel like it's to where it could truly be. And you haven't gone back 2 episodes to listen to how you could show up as a powerful being and hold that space for them and ask for direct feedback and all the other fun things from that episode, right? So you want more out of life, but you're limited by the vision of what you think can happen if you show up as your best, which doesn't include other people evolving or helping you or working with them in some regard. That's more of an unconscious layer that I'm talking about. So you can start to see this where so many people get stuck is this high performance mindset, which you can say from there, the leap into peak performance to showing up as your best self. And I'm going to loosely categorize these to just make it simple. The leap going from a high performer, like, I'm committed to showing up and being my best and taking care of my body and the habits I need to show up at my best, and the mindset, I'm gonna have a growth mindset. Well, the difference between the high performer and the peak performer is that the peak performer works with their own biology and natural ways of being, which is really to say they know themselves on deeper levels. So they know if their natural tendency is to go, do, then they need BBB, aka balance, or aka internal balance of rest time to bring them back to center. If there's somebody like myself, I'm very comfortable being creative. I'm very comfortable being, being chill. I live in San Diego, being laid back about things. So if I want to step into my peak state of performance, then I need some fire. I need to push myself to do a little bit extra to bring those two together. And this is part of the alchemical journey, right? Bringing to balance the inner masculine, inner feminine, and sacred union so that they are working alongside each other. Same goes with having clarity of your vision and then being able to embody intuition when you don't know where the next steps are. And how do you live in that way of balancing both the inner masculine and feminine? Or knowing that if you're going to push yourself towards a bold goal, you have to prioritize rest and recovery just as much. So you could see that leap from high performer to peak performer. You really understand yourself, but you're still living in the mindset that if I show up the best that I could be, like, what results will I create? Now, this is when, as you start to do that, you're like, okay, I want to go to the next level. Well, what's the next level? And this is where I'm going to throw in the meta performance, or the idea of the meta performer. And the meta performer switch to how can I be the best, right? A high performer, a peak performer, into what are we capable of? And this is the invitation for you as you want to embody limitlessness. Right? We all kind of know at this point, so many more people are waking up. Like, we have so much potential. Like, on some level, whatever language you want to use, like, we are connected to infinite intelligence It just flows through us. Like it's part of our consciousness, right? So on some aspect, we kind of know like we have this limitless potential and intelligence that we have access to, but then we get so stuck in our old patterns that we feel limited. So the beautiful thing about becoming a meta performer, once you're ready to go beyond peak performance, is a very, in itself, alchemical mindset of who do I need to become in order to create the vision. Now, get ready, buckle up, Sallies. If your name's Sally, if it's not Sally, just buckle up. Because we're about to go deep, right? If we're going to explore what the frequency of limitlessness means, we're going to go deep. So with that, if you've read the Alchemical Journey, if you've had your awakening moment, if not, maybe hit pause. I don't know. It's up to you. It sinks in until you have your experience of it. We know in our core, we are made by both the divine energy of creation and infinite intelligence. Science has caught up. Go on ChatGPT. You can see even ChatGPT will agree that it believes the whole universe is made of consciousness. Nothing new. Alchemist knew this. Hermetic philosophy is we live within the one mind of God. So I am you, you are me. We are just different variations of frequency within the mind of God. So we are infinite in potential. We are infinite energy. We are the divine energy of creation. We are love, expanding, exploring. And you can tap into that source. If you've had your awakening moment, you've realized that and then had some experience drawn into you to start to feel that. Now the game becomes, how can you identify more with that than with your limited story of yourself? So this is where I'm a firm believer of the alchemical journey is about unleashing your full authentic essence, the unique energetic signature that you are, and bringing that into the world. Now, I'm curious. I'm hypothesizing in my own head. And if you're somebody who loves to go deep into this stuff and want to share notes, let's do it. I'm starting to wonder if even beyond that, if you were to identify as pure consciousness, you are connected to the web of field of information, the web of life of all things, and you can get beyond the personality brain and tap into that power. Who's to say that you cannot become anything that you want in some regard, right? We're still human. We still gotta go to the bathroom, eat food, and have our own patterns. But who's to say you can't massively transform and tap into the other levels of awareness surrounding you if we're all one in the currency of energy? We just went deep for a second, but to bring that back, to come back to the absolute truth of who you are, is that you're a being of frequency. You're a being of energy. And if you go back to episode 1, we talk about putting the X-ray goggles on, right? Seeing the universe for what it is. And you see this. And you would see these black spots in people. You'd see these big energetic beings when you look at humans and other beings of consciousness compared to something like your desk or books, right? You'd see a different level of energy. You'd see the energy of creation within it, aka love. You would notice in people's auras and people's energy fields that there'd be like little black spots. And this could be your fears and your limitations, these limiting beliefs you have about yourself, right? These are like things we gather within our aura, within our consciousness that lives. And this is how we live into subconscious prisons. Now, the more that you can choose to embody the Christ within you, which to me is the highest potential, the frequency of limitlessness, like fully expressed sun of love and light, well, that's when you can start to dissipate the other things and realign with the core of who you are, right? The deepest divine spark of who you are. The more you can align that and crystallize that into form, you'll realize that you are an infinite, powerful co-creator because you're creating alongside the one mind of God and you have that power within you. So the more that you embody that, the more you can exude the frequency of limitlessness. So this means you lose who you think you are to become who you truly are. It's going to take a lot of work to get beyond the ego or the mind. And this is not to say the ego or the mind is your enemy. No, it is your ally. It is your instrument. It is your one of the greatest pieces of technology for consciousness, because you get to have this physical human experience and you get to learn relearn the frequency of limitlessness by becoming limited and breaking free. So, welcome to the Golden Life, my friends. Welcome to the game of becoming limitlessness and becoming the powerful co-creator that you are. And as you go through these little advancements of what it means to explore what you're truly capable of, this is where it helps, once again, to expand the perspective. Because true limitlessness, as I'm starting to explore it more for myself and my own potential, I realize, and this has been a theme in more episodes because this is what I'm going through, right? Like, the more you can get feedback and grounded in reality, the more you can step into growth and you can completely transform the story of who you thought you were. But the high performer or peak performer lives in how can I be the best? So they just get so focused on how they could show up to be the best instead of what are we capable of? What are we capable of? If we were to work together and we were to give loving feedback to each other of how we're showing up and how we're experiencing the other person, and then how we can both step into growth from this moment on. First, I'm just going to show up as the best. You show up on the best. We'll make some expectations and agreements. We hope we live it out. If we don't, we'll try to have a hard conversation. We'll probably avoid it, but I'll just keep being the best. And if I be the best, it's going to work out. Verse, how do we step into our collective power and transformation? Because the more that we come together, the more that consciousness unites in different forms of consciousness, working towards a vision or goal or collective flourishing, the more we can have energy behind this and make this a reality. So let's become the alchemists. Let's create a whole new story for mankind where we are committed to flourishing now that we have truly stepped into an era where we can become limitless, right? We are no longer fighting the survival needs of our ancestors. We have the ability now, I just like to reemphasize this, we have the ability now to have a thought, to type it on a keyboard and have a robot go make it in the real world. Like, we did it as a collective. We have conquered our physical external reality, but now it's time to catch up internally by going through the alchemical journey and crystallizing the divine light of the creator that you are, and doing this together so that we can all rise together and all create a golden era for mankind. So welcome to the real mission of the Golden Life podcast. Today it's fully out there to help you become limitlessness, because as you embody more of that, you inspire others to do the same, and then we get to rewrite the story for our collective humanity, and this is where life is going to get way more exciting. This is the golden era we are on the verge of creating if we commit to exploring our own alchemical journey and doing it with a big heart, an open heart, and doing it alongside of each other instead of just focused on ourselves. Thank you for jumping in super deep today. I hope this inspires you to really step in, to really step through your limitations, to really step into your power, and to really understand the vision that I have. And hopefully I called you into this vision, because the more of us that can hold this vision and go through our own alchemical journeys and do it with friends, the more we can bring this into reality. So lastly, I'll say, just send this to whoever you think needs to hear it. If you have a friend that's into personal development and they didn't even know there's a whole thing called spiritual development, which is to realign with the core of who you are and embody the frequency of limitlessness, share this with them so you have a new highest vision to work towards together. And if you have a lot of people, share with a lot of people. The more people we can share this with, the more people we can get to create a new era for mankind. Thank you, and stay golden.